Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective. Happy Thursday. It's things to think on Thursday. I have some seriously tall hair. I think I am reaching back to the 80s or 90s with my hair. It's been a morning. Not a bad morning, just a little behind this morning. I know Sibling and I were watching The Masked Singer, and we forgot it was on last night and ended up not watching it, so we had to watch it this morning, and it just kind of put me behind. So I don't know, trying to reach like Marie Antoinette height of hair. But anyways, all right, let's get going. So we have the morning mantras card, and I'll be honest with you, I don't really have a subject for today, so I am just going to wing it with the old trusty affirmators. You know, I saw this. I was reaching for a different deck. I pulled that one, so maybe there's a message in there for us. So let's get to the morning mantras first. All right. Ooh, I think we're about halfway through this deck already. That's exciting. So today I'm going to fall in love with all the little taken for granteds that make this world so damn wild and dynamic. The planetary design team really went all out on this one. So the taken for granteds: trees, flowers, clouds, hills, gentle breezes, touchscreen technology. So basically your cell phones. But you know what? Touchscreen technology. Please try to look up from it so you can see the trees, flowers, clouds, hills, and gentle breezes. Well, maybe not see the gentle breezes, but definitely feel the gentle breezes. So anyways, again, today I'm gonna fall in love with all the little taken for granteds that make this world so damn wild and dynamic. The planetary design team really went all out on this one. Sorry, one of my decks just fell down. So anyways, I really love that. And see, trees, flowers, clouds, hills, breezes, touchscreen technology. But like I said, lift your head from the touchscreen technology and notice the world outside. Notice the world outside, all right? So, let's see, what do we got here? The affirmators. I know this may not be a very long show because I got nothing. So let's see. Whoa. That was fast. All right, let's start. Okay, let's see if I usually like to do 3 shuffles just to see if anything else will come out. That may be our card for today. So someone must need to hear something, or maybe I need to hear something, or one of my regular viewers needs to hear something. I don't know, but generosity. Ooh, sometimes generosity means that big things are coming for you. And if big things are coming for you, don't forget to share, right? Sharing is caring. Straight up, sharing is caring. So, I give generously to those around me, no matter how much or how little I have. I know there is more than enough to go around, and that the key is to allow it to keep going around without stopping. If I stop the flow, I'm like the one person at the stadium who doesn't do the wave. That used to be me. I don't know why. I kind of like that I want to be invisible kind of thing, and standing up and doing this is not being invisible. And then one time I did it, and boy, I was hooked. So, again, so this is a little tiny rabbit giving a big hippopotamus a present. So, again, I give generously to those around me, no matter how much or how little I have. I know there is more than enough to go around, and that the key is to allow it to keep going around without stopping. If I stop the flow, I'm like the one person at the stadium who doesn't do the wave. Now, what they're saying here is, regardless of how much or how little you have, if you have something, you can share. And it doesn't always have to be financial. It can be time. You know, you can be giving of yourself. Maybe you have a friend in need, and being generous with your time is a huge thing. Sometimes that means more to people than anything, believe it or not, because you're giving of your time. You're taking time out for somebody. If you do have the financial means, no matter how much or how little you have, you know, maybe you go to get coffee every morning. Do you leave them a tip? Or do you just kind of like take your coffee and run? You know, it doesn't hurt to maybe, even if you just leave $1. You know, I mean, that's not a bad thing. And, you know, maybe you're thinking, oh, it's my last dollar. Yeah, but what do you have in your bank account? Do you have more money in your bank account? Because if you do, $1's not going to hurt you. And I'll tell you, for as much as people don't tip, they would probably appreciate that dollar, you know, because they're working hard. And if, you know, especially like Sibling and I go to Starbucks, and we always leave a tip. And I'm not saying that to toot my own horn or anything, but we do. And if we don't have the cash on me, then I'll do it through the app, because you have a couple of hours to do it through the app. So, even if you don't have the cash on you, you can do it through the app. I mean, that's just an example of things that we can do for other people. Or, maybe if you go out to eat, a lot of times, so again, not tooting my own horn or my dad's, but my dad doesn't go by percentage. I mean, he'll take the percentage and then he'll add to it if the service was really, really great. And, he has one of his favorite places where, they treat him so well because he's a good tipper. And it's not to show off. It's because he knows how hard they're working, and I'm not going to say he doesn't make them work for it, because it's their happy hour place. And he'll tell them, when my beer gets to here, this is when you need to bring me another one. So he just tells them, so they don't have to sit there and go, hey. And he doesn't go there very often, but he goes there often enough that when he comes in, people remember him. And it's not just because of the tipping. It's because he's nice to the staff. I saw on Twitter yesterday, one of the people I follow, I guess they were out at a restaurant, and he's all, does anyone say please and thank you anymore? He's all, I was just talking to my waiter. I said thank you, and he's all, not even so much as a you're welcome. And, I replied to that and said, you know what? This is one of my pet peeves. How hard is it to say please and thank you? Yes, they're doing a service. Yes, they're being paid for it, but it's still manners. I mean, I've seen this when we open doors. This is another pet peeve of mine. I see it when we open doors for people and they just walk right through. Like, it's your job. It's your job to just hold the door open for somebody. And then you see some poor woman with, maybe a stroller or something struggling to get in. You hold the door wide open and they're like, thank you so much. Because the person that you just let through just cut them off. And just, maybe there's a double door and then you like run to the next door to help them. It doesn't take much of our time to be polite. We've gotten away from that. Our faces are so stuck in our phones sometimes, in our technology, that we forget there's a world around us. Just like there's a Volkswagen commercial. I don't know if it's anywhere else, but it's definitely here in this country. And the commercial is this guy. He's just, he walks out of his apartment building and he's just like this with his phone the whole time. He walks out of his apartment building. There's a guy behind him on crutches, lets the door go right in his face. Now, I've been on crutches before, so I know how to get out a door, but it's still annoying, because it's not that easy. It's not hard, but it's not easy. And if you're not used to it, it can be hard, but it's polite. It's being courteous. Then he goes to a park and he's sitting next to people who are just quiet, feeding the birds. And he starts laughing like, he's like just watching his screen out loud. Everyone can hear it in the world. It's just like, so rude. And put some earphones in, okay? I mean, I get it if you're going to laugh, but I know that's kind of a fine line, because we are allowed to laugh and all that stuff, but not everybody wants to hear your music. Not everybody wants to hear whatever TV show you're watching, because they might be listening to something on their own, AirPods, earpods, headphones, whatever. And then they finally show it where the guy he crosses the street, doesn't even look, but that's the point of the commercial, right? The Volkswagen, where it automatically brakes. And then he looks at the people driving like, what the hell? And I'm just like, I looked at my sibling and I said, the saddest part about that commercial is that we have to make cars like that because people don't pay attention. So the advent of technology is amazing. It's wonderful. It is a gift to this world because we can do so much with it. But we also do so many bad things with it. We troll people on social media. I always love it when I get trolled on Twitter by somebody who has zero information in their profile. And sometimes I do look, because it's like, what the hell? What did I do? Like I asked a question and then they tell you that you're being, sensitive, or they call you, my favorite is when they call me a hippie. It's like, I prefer flower child. Thank you very much. But, and I don't engage that often. I don't, because I really want to keep my two accounts on Twitter. One's for mental health and one is just me being dumb. And sometimes mental health. But I just want to keep them as clear as I can, keep them as positive as I can. Sometimes I go down the rabbit hole, I admit. And there's nothing wrong with that. Some people love to do that, and that's okay. Some people love to share the things they believe in, and that's okay too. But I think sometimes people stop sharing because, you know, you're always going to get that asshole who sits there and goes, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. Well, everybody has an opinion. That's okay. That's okay. I love how we went from generosity to this. But you know what? It's how it goes, right? We start in one place and then we end up somewhere else. And yeah, this is kind of a soapbox moment. Yeah, this is kind of a venting session. Because we can do better. We can be better. We can be more generous with our time, with, you know, whatever money we have. I'm not saying to give them your whole bank account. But what I'm saying is when people do something kind for you, when they give you good service, you know, treat them like it. Treat them like it. Older sibling has a friend, and, you know, her and her then husband took us out, and sibling wanted to buy dinner. And, you know, he said no. And he said, you know, I've been very fortunate in my life. And I would like to do this for all of you. You know, and I think it touched him that she wanted to buy dinner because she hadn't seen her friend in a long time. And this person's like family to her. But, you know, there was just something in that says, you know what? And he says, when you have good fortune, when, you know, you're very fortunate to have things, you give back and you share it. And you don't see a lot of people like that, because I know a lot of other people who had very good fortune who are terrible when it comes to that, or they find everything wrong with something. You know, I mean, I'm so weird. I don't even send food back. I mean, if it's wrong, I deal with it, you know, and it's not that I should have to, because I know that, you know, if it's not right. But, you know, sometimes I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're having a bad day. You know, maybe they thought they heard one thing, or maybe their ears picked up somebody else's order and they put in the wrong thing in your thing. We all have bad days, you know. I mean, I sit there and, you know, sometimes when I get a waitress that's spacing out, I think, whoa. And this is not to be TMI, but it's like, ooh, is it her time of the month? Because I know how I get. My mind wanders for a few days. It just goes off on a walk and doesn't come back until about 3 or 4 days later. But we have to take into account that sometimes people have things going on. And yes, we're going to sit there and say, but this is their job. Yeah, but we're not always perfect at your job. Are you perfect at your job? You know? I mean, do you not make mistakes? Do you not forget things? Do you not go to the donut shop or the bagel shop and somebody says, oh, but I asked for everything bagel. Oh, I forgot. Sorry. Yeah, see? And maybe that's not a big deal because you're not getting tipped for it and you were just being nice by going out and doing it, but that's the point. People do their best. I mean, if you can tell they're not doing their best, you know, that's life. Sometimes people just are not in the right industry. But that's very rare. We need to be better people. I don't think generosity is just about sharing and keeping the good going around. It's about being positive. It's about being kind. You know, I mean, you know, there on my Facebook page, it's basically, with the exception of my lives and some things that I make public, the majority of the stuff I post, it does just go to my family and friends, because it's all people I know in one way or another. And that's just because, you know, I don't want to get hacked and spammed and all that stuff. So, you know, with those, those fake, you know, cloned accounts, but, people, you know, somebody reached out to me one day, hey, how you doing? I'm like, you know, I'm hanging on by a thread today, you know, and I just wasn't feeling good. I had a headache and blah, blah, blah. And they're all, oh, well, I thought you were doing well because everything you post is so positive. I post positive things to remind myself that it does get better. Even on those bad days that we have, no matter who we are, no matter what our brain is like, no matter what the day is, it will get better. You know, yesterday I posted, or this morning or yesterday, I posted a little picture of a tiny little mouse, and he's got a helmet on, and he's sitting next to a mousetrap with the cheese, right? And it says, never give up. And somebody replied, I'm rooting for the mouse. I was like, yeah, I'm totally rooting for the mouse, because this is life. We can sit there and stare at the cheese all day, or we can go for it and hope for the best. Now, we're rooting for the mouse, and he has the helmet on, so hopefully nothing bad happens to him. But in the end, when you think about it, you're really rooting for that mouse. You really want him to get that cheese, and that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to get that cheese. Sometimes we might get something slapping at us. Sometimes we might feel like we've been upended and somebody just took us out at the feet and just whew. But that's life, right? That happens. I'm about to butcher a Benjamin Franklin quote, and it was attributed to him, so I'm trusting that it was his. But he said, I didn't find 100, or I didn't fail. I just found 100 ways not to do something. And I can't remember what it was. That's why I said I'm paraphrasing. It's just kind of, but that's the point, And, it's like with Babe Ruth. He said, the guy struck out a lot. Yeah. But he also hit like a bazillion home runs. So people don't really think about how many times he strikes out, unless you're a really big baseball fan like my dad. But they revel in the fact that, whoa, for like all these strikeouts, look how many home runs he had. Because he didn't quit. He didn't quit. And that's what we do. We go through life, and we do our best to not quit. I saw another tweet today about a gentleman who I believe became a doctor and received a pretty big award. I can't remember from where, I'm sorry. But it was a pretty, it was like a global type award. And he had to take time off from school for his mental health. A friend that he thought was a friend, or a person he thought was a friend, said behind his back that he would not make a good doctor. And now look, because he didn't give up. He took the time he needed to fix what was in here. And then, he kept going. It's okay to take a pause. It's okay to take a beat. It's okay to take a step back just to gather whatever it is we need. Think about it, right? We all think, oh, well, nobody makes mistakes and blah, 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 and I'm really good at this. But, come on. And then we watch TV shows, right? There are times when, okay, so I don't know if anybody watches reruns of the Carol Burnett show. I'm pretty sure it started before my time and kind of maybe ended during my very, very young infancy age. But there was Harvey Korman and Tim Conway, and these two went out of their way to try to crack each other up. And you can see it. And they didn't try to hide it, but nobody cared, because that actually made people laugh more. But you have people nowadays that go, well, that's stupid. Look, you mean they're giving it away? Do you think TV shows have a blooper reel because they just plan it? No. It's a blooper reel because that's what happens. People make mistakes. There are times when we're watching TV shows and I'll look at my, because my dad likes to binge watch certain things. And I think we were watching Grimm. And something happened, and it was kind of a serious scene, but something was going on. I told my dad, I said, I wonder how many times they had to do that scene, because we were just laughing. It wasn't serious. It was kind of like, kind of tongue-in-cheek type of scene. But we were just, I'm all like, how long did it take them to get through this? Because, what they were talking about, you could tell there was, even if you can hold in your smile, there's a light in your eyes when something's really, really funny, and you can't hold it. You can be like, but you can see it. Just like, I was watching The Big Bang Theory the other day, and, there's a scene where Sheldon does something, and, and Penny's just sitting, and you can see that she's trying not to laugh. Like, she just, but you can see it at first, because there's this tiny little, and I've seen this show so many times that the very first time I never caught it. But when you see things over and over, you start to catch things you didn't catch before. But that's just it. We all make mistakes. So you're probably sitting there, Shelly Marie, how did you go from being generous all the way over to here? Because we live in this day and age now where I think we're afraid to make mistakes. I think we're afraid to say something wrong. And I think part of that conditioning is because of social media. Because if you say something that you're feeling that, is in your heart and you feel as woo, and somebody comes along and just trolls you and makes fun of you, you're just kind of like, oh, don't listen to those people. be that generous person with your time, your thoughts, your finances if you have it. Tip that person at the coffee counter or the donut place or, whatever. Because, people take the time to do these things. People take the time to make your food, to create your food, to make your coffee, create your coffee, And, I mean, okay, so this is a funny story. Before I went to London, like a billion years ago, actually this month, a billion years ago, it was back in, I think, 2016. It was so funny because I was asking everybody in the office. I worked with a British guy and who had lived in America probably longer than he ever lived in Britain, but he went back every year. So I told him, I said, what is the customary tipping rule in England? I have to know because I don't want to get this wrong because I've read things, but I don't know if it's true. And then I had another friend or another coworker who had been a couple times. She's like, well, you don't necessarily need to tip because, they get paid decent wages. So, they're not working for the tip. They're just, it's a nice gesture. And I swear, the first night I'm there, my friend who picked me up from the airport before he headed back up to his village, he was like, I thought, okay, well, he helped me get acclimated. This is part of a couple that I met through hockey. So see, hockey is a big thing. So my friend, he acclimates me to this place. He takes me to his favorite pub, introduces me to his parents because he wanted, he told them, I just wanted you to meet her. This is her first time here. Cheryl and I live way out here, so we're not going to be here if she needs anything. And if she freaks out or whatever, he didn't say that part, but that was me. That was me in my head. If I freak out, I know where to go. So, they were there. But we went to the pub, ordered a couple beers, and then I tipped her. And I didn't even say anything. I mean, my friend actually ordered the beer, so, it's the British accent, right? Well, I know over there it's not an accent, but here it is. And then, and I thought, no, I said, I'm going to pay for this because, you've done so much for me today and I really appreciate it, and I know I'm going to be okay. And, I was all like, and then I gave her, she's like, oh, here. And I said, no, please. I said, keep the change. And she's like, you must be an American. And I'm like, I said, well, yeah, but, and she's like, no, because she's all, you just tipped me. I was just like, okay. I mean, I did it again somewhere else when my friend took me around. I went up to visit him and his wife and his son. And he took me out to like Stonehenge and all this stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy you lunch. And I mean, I tipped this couple and then I tipped them in the jar at the bar and they're all like, hey, want to take pictures behind the bar? And I'm like, oh my God. It's like, yeah, let me pretend I work here. And it's not the point of tipping because that's just normal for me. It's the point that you're seeing people. You're appreciating what they're doing for you. You're appreciating their service for you. Let's see. Older sibling said, remember when I used to say it cost me $1 to go to the grocery store because I felt guilty passing those people with the kettles? Yes, she did. I do remember that. I admit it's really hard for me sometimes. I mean, I will go in the other door. Otherwise, it's just like, because I'll be honest with you, there are a lot of scammers out there. And, these people, they're not well, you're hoping they're not scammers. You just got to use your spidey instincts. You really got to use your spidey instincts, on whether or not you feel like you're getting scammed or not. But, and that's not to be mean because, but you also don't want to be funding somebody's life with your last dollar in your wallet because they're pretending to be somebody they're not. So you got to use your spidey instincts, use that discerning gift that we all have. But that's, beyond that, generosity doesn't kill us. Like I said, you can be generous with, your time, with your kindness, with your finances. You can be generous in so many ways. You could make cookies for somebody. You could, you could bake for somebody. You could cook a dinner for somebody. I mean, when people pass away, it's so customary for people to come over and just bring food, right? And that's being generous with their time because not only are they making something for you, they got to make something for their own family, right? So they're just doubling up and saying, hey, here, I mean, when baby sibling's husband passed away, boy, she had food for days. I mean, I think some of it she had to put in the freezer, and even then, there was so much. And her big group of friends, when it was time for the services, they wanted to just bake cookies. And, besides having other stuff, they wanted to bake all kinds of different cookies, because I'm not sure if that was his favorite or what, but, all these girls were in her kitchen. She has 2 ovens, and they were all just working together. They were giving their time to her. And those who weren't in the kitchen helping, like me, were helping her, just kind of cope and move through and, move through all these emotions she was going through. But that's also how we can be generous. You can watch a friend's kids so they can go out on a date, or just get some rest. Generosity comes in so many different forms. Like I said, it can be opening a door for somebody and saying thank you when they do. I will tell you, though those are my pet peeves, please, thank you, you're welcome. It's not that hard to say. It's not that hard to stop and hold the door open for somebody. When I used to go into an office, there would be people where I'd be literally 5 feet from the elevator, and they would just let it shut in my face. And so I got to the point where I would just kind of toss whatever is in my hand in between the doors. And I would get in, and I would be kind of an asshole. And I'm like, thanks for holding the door. That's all I'd say. Thanks for holding the door. And then they're thinking, oh God, please get off on the next floor. I went to the top. I was going to the top floor. So everybody in there who didn't bother had to sit there with me. And that's all I said. Thanks for holding the door. Or just thanks. It doesn't take much time. It doesn't. And sometimes I go a little overboard. I would hold the door for people who were just walking in the other side of the door. And they're like, it's okay. And it's like, no, I said, I got nowhere to be. I said, because I would get there early. I would give myself enough time to be at work to get my stuff going for the morning. So that when the time for me to log in, I was logged in. We don't have to be rude. Like I said, I think I do put some of this on social media. I do put some of this on technology. We are in an era of instant gratification. We're in an era where if somebody doesn't answer you within 2 hours, it's kind of like, oh my God, are they ghosting me? Are they not talking to me? Blah, blah, blah. They could be out of signal. Maybe they're in the mountains somewhere. Maybe they're out with friends and their purse is in their bag. Maybe they're, at work and can't answer you. Maybe they're driving somewhere, and people freak out. Like I have people that will IM me, and sometimes it'll be days before I hear from them. They're like, I'm so sorry, please forgive me. But I'm like, there's nothing to forgive. It's like, I respond to you and you get back to me when you get back to me. And I used to be one of those people. It's like, oh my God, how come you didn't answer me? Are you okay? Are you alive? I have a text with my father every single day. And if I don't respond to him by 1 or 2, I get a text that says, are you okay? So that's how we check in. But he gives me that time. I think it bothers him to give me that time, just like it bothers me when I text him and I don't hear back from him right away, but he might be busy. And there have been times when he's been on the road and his do not disturb didn't come on, or he's been, maybe napping or talking on the phone to somebody else. And it's just, we have to learn to take a step back and take a deep breath. We have become in such a rush that, the generosity of the human spirit really has kind of just lost itself somewhere. It's sitting in a corner waiting for someone to pick it up. And that's really what it is. It's not just about it. You don't see the little bunny giving the hippopotamus money. You see him giving him a gift. The gift of generosity. The gift of the generosity, again, of the human spirit. We could be kinder to one another. We could be, people have opinions. And yeah, we might disagree with them. But you don't have to rake them over the coals, call them names. We don't. We can be better. We need to be better humans. We don't have to pick a fight with everybody just because they don't agree with what we talk about. Part of being an adult is learning to have conversations that don't end up in a fight or a fist fight. that don't end up with people calling each other names, that don't end up with people swearing at each other and, you know, basically going to verbal blows because they don't agree with you, or raking people over the coal that you have no idea who they are. I mean, God, I was called a narcissist once, not too long ago, on a thread. And I'm all like, you don't even know me. It's like, I'm not even close to being one. I mean, I have so minimal self-esteem. And I laughed. And I said, LOL, it's cute how you think that hurts me. And then after that I said, you don't even know me, but it's cute how you think that hurts me. Because I had to learn that when we do engage, there are going to be people that are going to troll you. Maybe they have something go. I always try to look back and think, maybe there's some kind of pain in their life. Maybe there's some kind of power they find in being an asshole to people online. You know, maybe there's some kind of, you know, bravado that they feel when they think they're right and nobody else is right, even when they don't look at the facts. That's what drives me nuts the most, when people don't bother to look at the facts and they sit there and spew out their garbage like it is facts. You know, and I'll be honest, people are saying, well, how do you know you're not? I look at both sides. I always do my best to look at both sides. I try to stay in the center, look at both sides, because somewhere in the middle is the truth, is the reality of it. And it's not always easy, which is a lot of times why I don't engage, because it kills my spirit. You know, I've been through enough in my life. I don't need to have any more drama or trauma thrown at me. You know, I don't need people engaging with me, calling me the C word. I'm saying that because it offends, the word offends some people. I know, some of my viewers. And the funny thing is, I've been called that like 3 or 4 times in my life, and I did not earn any of them. I know, but I kind of wear them like a badge of honor. When you know you get under somebody's skin by giving them facts, or not kowtowing to their anger. When you manage to just stay composed, and that's kind of what happened each and every time. I stayed composed. They didn't like it, and you know they threw the C word at me. And like I said, I hold them. They're like notches in my bedpost. I hold them like a badge of honor, because it means those are the times when I could have lost my shit and I didn't, because I kept the generosity of the human spirit. And I knew somehow it would work out. And it always did. It always did. And that's how I knew I wasn't in the wrong, because it would work out in my favor. And people would come to my defense. So, you know, again, I promise I'm not trying to toot my own horn here. I'm not trying to, but, you know, these are my experiences. And what I see, and what I read, and the things I view online, how people treat each other. You know, how people treat each other, and then, you know, you turn around, and then when they call you out on it, you get upset. You can't continue to treat people bad and then get away with that behavior. It doesn't work that way. Life doesn't work that way. Not even close. You know, maybe for some people it does. So I shouldn't say it doesn't work out that way, because for some people I think it does, and that doesn't seem very fair, does it? Nope. But, you know, it does. But the best thing we can do is, again, just be generous. Be generous with your human spirit. Be kind. Be, you know, if somebody says something or somebody has opinions that you don't agree with and it's on social media, just keep moving. Keep moving. I mean, if it makes you angry, ask yourself why it makes you angry. Does it make you angry on a level because, you know what they're spewing is incorrect information, or does it make you mad on a level, or maybe they're spewing something that you don't agree with, that you don't like, so you just want to kind of knee-jerk and say something? We have to ask ourselves, are we reacting because, you know, we disagree, or are we reacting because maybe something hurt us during the day, or maybe something's hurt us in the past and it's just not been healed and it's still there and it's just... I find that when a lot of people are grieving, they lash out. Not everybody, but I do find that when a lot of people are grieving, they lash out. I remember there was a time when older siblings' mom passed away. Again, she's my soul sister, so we're not real siblings, so we have separate parents. But I remember when her mom first passed away, and a lot of people were calling, hey, she hasn't paid her bill for this month, blah, blah, blah. And there was one place that kept calling and calling and calling and calling, And she's like, she's passed away. You know, it's, you know, the account's dead now. She's gone. She's not going to be able to pay this for you. You know, she's moved on to a higher plateau. And they kept calling. Then they would say, oh, we put it in the notes. If she's passed away, you won't be receiving any more calls. Then they called again. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is older sibling is the one person I know in the whole world that seems to have her shit together when it comes to, you know, reacting to things. Most of the time, she's very level-headed. I mean, like 99.999% of the time, she is level-headed. So that 0.00001% where she just flips her shit, that's huge. But she was grieving. And every time she got this call, it was just one more reminder that she had just lost her mother. And she didn't just lose her mom. Her mom passed away on an operating table. So the last words were, I'll see you tomorrow. Not I love you, not, you know, take care of yourself or this, that, or the other. It was, I'll see you tomorrow. And that tomorrow never came. And that was just a real harsh reminder of that. You know, I mean, when my mom passed away, I was able to say goodbye. I was able for her to say that one last time, I love you. I mean, it was part of a question, like, I love you, but why are you here? I didn't know how to answer her. Oh, by the way, you're slipping in and out of a coma. You're dying. No, I was just kind of like, I love you too, and hold on. And then that was it. I don't know if she talked to anybody else, if anybody else had moments with her when I wasn't in the room, but that was my last moment with her. And 4 days later, she was gone. 3 days later, she was gone. And I had that. But I still grieved. And I still had trauma from my past. And boy, it would come out at people. You know, and there was a lot of anger for a long time. And then, you know, 10 months later, Sissy Joe passed away. And it's just like, it just added, it compounded all that pain to where you push it down, you push it down, you push it down, you know, and then poof. It's kind of like one of those little jack-in-the-boxes, right? You just spin it, you spin it, you spin it until one day, click, and the big clown, big freaky ass, scary clown comes out of that thing, just, that's what emotions are like. You know, you're just spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning, and then, you know, maybe you're playing, right? Maybe you're playing a game with the jack-in-the-box. You know, whoever gets the jack-in-the-box, you're out. So you spin once, you pass it on. You spin the next time, you pass it on. And maybe that third person gets it. And that's just it. That's a game. But that's how grieving and that's how pain and that's how trauma and all that stuff works. But when we start to remember to hold on to that generosity of spirit, of human kindness, we stop and we think before we say things. I'm learning that. I'm still learning that. Because there are a lot of times when I do get triggers and they, you know, they're just, but I've gotten so much better at that. And I see the way I used to be and I see the way I am now, you know, and it's not like I'm this nice person walking along and then bam, you know, or walking along that bam. No, it's just things happen. And if something triggers me, it's like, okay, I got to think about this. And sometimes I start to be like, whoa, and it's like, whoa. I'm catching myself now because I've been learning. I've been studying it. I've been training myself. It's not that hard to be kind. It's not that hard to be generous. It's not that hard to be generous with your kindness or your human spirit. We need to be better. You know, we need to be better as people. We do. There's a lot of us who are amazing, but we all still need to be better. We need to find a way. And, you know, if you're wonderful to everyone else around you, ask yourself how you're treating yourself. I know a lot of people who just, they're so down on themselves, you know, and I try, when I see it on Twitter, I try so hard to let them know that they're seen. That, you know, because I know what it's like to feel invisible in a crowded room. You know, I know what it's like to make myself feel invisible in a crowded room on purpose because I don't want to be seen. But we all deserve to be seen. Everybody has a story. Everybody has a voice. And it doesn't have to be a shouty caps voice. You know, let's have these discussions. Let's have adult versions of these discussions, not playground where it's like, yeah, well, let's meet behind the cafeteria at 3 p.m. I was home by 3 p.m. Seriously? School got out at like 2. But, that's how it went, right? 3 p.m. behind the cafeteria. So I've only seen that on TV shows. I've never actually seen that happen. But I have seen fights break out in school. And it's freaky, So just be kind. Be kind. I promise I will continue to do my best to be a better person, to continue on my path of being the person that I am without the interruptions of just, and like I said, I always say this, we're human. We're going to lose our shit. Okay. We are, it's just going to happen. But when you don't do it all the time, there's not a lot of guilt associated with it after. But just try to catch yourself. Just try to just reel it in. There are going to be those moments where you just can't. We're human. I get that. But what I'm talking about is the majority of the time. I mean, don't go on social media just to go pick a fight with somebody. Go on there, read things, see what both sides have to say. I mean, it's sad when both sides hate each other, but there's nothing I can do about that. What I can do is just fill my feed, my timeline with whatever I can to make people laugh or, just be random. I mean, that's really what my goalie fan account's about. My other account is just being random. I mean, it's so random sometimes. But on my mental health account, I really try to keep all that negativity out of there. That's why I set up a separate one. Because I don't want all that negativity in there. And, I find I spend more time in that one because there isn't so much vitriol. It's not like this little cesspool of angry people. It's just people who are hurting, who need one another. And what we can do is we can add to that. We can add that comfort, that, positivity to their lives and help them slowly see who they are. Help them see themselves in the mirror. I had people do that for me. I still have people that do that for me. And we should be giving back and sharing again the generosity of the human spirit with other people. So, I know, I was kind of like all over the place with that one, but maybe a little soapboxy. But you know what? I think sometimes that's what we need. It is a things to think on Thursday. So I gave you a lot of things to think on. And like I said, we're human. We're going to lose our marbles sometimes. When that happens, don't beat yourself up. All right? If you need to apologize to someone, apologize. If you need to make an amends to someone, make an amends to somebody. But when you do that, make that amends or that apology to yourself as well. Because you don't need to carry that kind of stuff. Again, we're human. We are not going to be perfect. We're not perfect. We're perfectly imperfect people. There are some people in the world that think they're perfect, and that's okay. We can't change them. Only they can change them. We can't fix other people. We can only fix ourselves. But what we put into this world is really what it becomes important. How do you want to be viewed when you pass into the next plateau? Do you want people to see you as being somebody angry? Do you want to see people, who say, oh, all they did was spread crap on, social media, or they were just so angry all the time, or everything pissed them off, or blah, blah. Or do you want to be known as that person? I mean, I get sometimes, well, you're way too positive. How can you be way too positive? But like I said, I post this stuff on my page to remind me, that things can get better. There are people that don't really follow me that are friends of mine on Facebook, and I notice it, and it's okay because I post too much positive stuff. But a lot of times when that happens, it's just people who are probably hurting inside and they just don't want to see it, or maybe it's just like, oh, you're stupid. And that's okay because it's my page and I can do whatever the hell I want on it. I see people all the time, sorry for posting this. It's like, girl, it's our boy, whoever you are. However you identify, this is your page. You can do whatever the hell you want. People don't like it, they can scroll right by it. Because it's our voice. It's our words. And whether it's good or bad, and that's up to perspective. That's up to perspective, whether you think it's good or bad. What you think is bad, somebody may love. What you think is, what you think is bad, other people are good. Other people may be like, what? You're kind of off your rocker there. Just, hold tight to your beliefs and show kindness. like I said, we need to be better as people. We need to be way better as people. And, you know, there are a lot of things I disagree with in this world. And even my political views have shifted dramatically. And because there's so much anger and hate. And I'm just, I can't. That's not how my spirit works anymore. My spirit's not angry anymore. I've worked on that. I've worked hard on that. You know, and it wasn't easy. Healing journeys are never easy. But if you feel you need to be on, then, you know, on one, go for it. Now, I am going to let you go because I could probably ramble on forever and ever and ever. And I want to get myself going because today, if you were watching this anytime before 10:30 today, 10:30 a.m. today, and you are in California, Southern California, SpaceX is supposed to be launching a Starlink rocket up. So, you know, it's always fun to kind of see. Sibling and I had the privilege of being able to see, I don't know if it was the first Mars rover or the second one, but I'm pretty sure it was the second one that's tooling around there now up in space. But we had the privilege of whichever rover it was, seeing it get shot into space just from our patio. You know, it was at night, and it was kind of cool because you could see you couldn't really see the rocket, obviously, but you could see the fire behind it, and we watched it until it hit the outer atmosphere, and poof, you know, all of a sudden there was nothing left, and you just sit there and you're like, that's history. So whichever rover it was, it's still history. You know, it's something that you feel proud to have been able to see. And I'm a space nerd, so, you know, I'm smart, but I'm not scientifically smart. But boy, I love a good NASA SpaceX launch. I love watching all that stuff and the things that they do in space and all these discoveries they have. It's phenomenal. So, like I said, 10:42 a.m. is supposed to be when they launch that rocket today from Vandenberg, which is about 160 miles from where I am. So I'm hoping we'll be able, if nothing else, to see the contrails? Is that what they call it? Or you know, I mean, you never know. Last night I got to watch the SpaceX launch of the Dragon crew to the space station today. So, and yeah, if you have the NASA channel or if you have YouTube, they'll be docking, I believe, at 1:17 in the morning at the space station. That's always fun to watch them because, you know, what they're doing is they're switching out crews now. So it's always fun to watch, and it's always fun to watch them come back. And because they're using reusable rockets now, I got to see my first parachute landing. You know, I mean, I grew up in the shuttle era, you know, so I mean, they were just like watching a plane land. It was still fun, especially, you know, when I was 13 years old, the Challenger exploded, and it was just kind of like, it was mind blowing. I was like a brand new 13, but it was, and I don't mean that in any offense when I say mind blowing, because it was just, it's something that sticks with you and stays with you. You know, when I think back to that day, I still feel that sadness inside of me for all of those people that just lost people like that in an instant. And for all of us who saw it live. You know, and you're just, so every time I watch a rocket go up, it's just kind of like, please let them get there okay. You know, let them get back okay. But yeah, seeing my first parachute one, like they did before I was born, and maybe in the early parts, or the early stages of my youth, but I never saw a live one. And I never saw, because, you know, I was like, what? I think by the time they started using shuttles, I was like 4 or 5, so wasn't a space nerd yet. I was on my way. But I can thank my parents for that, because they loved watching those things too. So anyways, rambling. I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day today. Boy, I didn't think I'd have anything to talk about, but here I am almost an hour later. So sorry. But yeah, again, let's be kind. Let's be better. Less bitter. You know, let's be better, less bitter. How about that? That's a good phrase. Let's be better, less bitter about things, you know, and have discussions, not arguments. Agree to disagree if you need to. Walk away if it's getting too heated. Don't be ashamed to walk away, because what you're doing is you're trying to not let it escalate. And that takes a lot of strength and a lot of power. So I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. I will see everybody back here tomorrow for Aloha Oracle Friday. If the oracles are not your thing, I will see you back here Monday. Both shows 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, which is California time. Facebook Live, all lives are public. Anybody can watch. I'm not sure if Baby Sibling's going to be on tomorrow, but she handpicked 2 decks yesterday. So we're going to do those tomorrow. One of them I rarely use, so we'll see how that one goes. But yeah, so it's live. Anybody can watch. I do share these to my Facebook page, The Aloha Perspective, and I also share it to, I also upload it to YouTube under The Aloha Perspective with Shelly Marie Lucas. And if you follow me on the basic social media, you can, like on Twitter, you can find them there. I also do a daily affirmation on TikTok that I share to Instagram under The Aloha Perspective or Shelly Marie Lucas. And I believe my TikTok account is The Aloha Perspective. I rarely use it, so I'm just getting back into using it now, so that's why it's like, wait, what's it called? But yeah, there it is. So again, have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging in there. Thank you so much for listening. Let's be better, less bitter. All right? Have a great day.